Introducing our special coverage of the...
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Americans freed from Russia in prisoner swap land on US soil. An emotional welcome. US President Biden acknowledges Germany made significant concessions to achieve prisoner swap. Takes a dig at Trump stressing the importance of allies for the USA. US steps up efforts to contain the West Asia crisis. Biden calls Netanyahu, says US commitment to defend Israel's security.
Chance for a ceasefire ruined after the assassination of Haniyeh.
It's not helped.
Leave Lebanon now. India, Australia, Canada issue advisory as crisis in West Asia escalates. And in sports, Simone Biles displays greatest skills, clinches her 6th Olympic gold medal at the Paris Games. Well, a plane carrying detainees released by Russia landed in the United States at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland. U.S. President Joe Biden and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris greeted journalist Evan Gershkovich and 2 other Americans who arrived back on U.S. soil. Russia freed Gershkovich and ex-U.S. Marine Paul Whelan were among 24 detainees released as part of the biggest prisoner exchange of its kind since the end of the Cold War. The White House said the U.S. had negotiated the trade with Russia, Germany and 3 other countries. The deal, negotiated in secrecy for more than a year, involved 24 prisoners, including 16 moving from Russia to the West and 8 prisoners held in the West being sent back to Russia. Welcoming the prisoners at the airport, Biden hailed the deal as a feat of diplomacy and friendship and praised Washington's allies for their bold and brave decisions.
My job is to make sure, number one, they don't get them, and if they do, we get them back. I don't buy this idea that you're going to let these people rot in jail because other people may be captured. We will set out all the notification to all the other countries, all our citizens, what countries not to go to, what to do, what not to do, and they got to pay attention. I got more work to do.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris praised Biden, calling the swap an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy.
I'm very thankful for our president and what he has done over his entire career, but in particular as it relates to these families and these individuals, what he has been able to do to bring the allies together on many issues, but in particular this one. This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
White House hailed the historic East-West prisoner swap. Talking to media in a news briefing, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan confirmed that no money was exchanged to facilitate the deal.
Confirm that no money was exchanged, no sanctions were loosened to facilitate this deal?
Yes, I can confirm that.
Perhaps the most crucial decision for the prisoner swap to happen was made not by the U.S. President Joe Biden, but German Chancellor Olaf Schulz. Germany agreed to release Vadim Krasikov, who was serving a life sentence for murdering a Georgian citizen in a Berlin park. Chancellor Scholz said it indeed was a difficult one, but necessary to protect German and US citizens. Speaking at Cologne Airport, where he was waiting to welcome the freed prisoners, Scholz said US President Joe Biden had thanked Germany for its help with the prisoner transfer.
I spoke to President Biden on the phone, who is very thankful for the cooperation of our two countries in this important matter. For the United States, it was especially important to see Wall Street Journal journalist Ivan Gershkovich and ex-Marine Paul Whelan in freedom, in close and trusting cooperation with the United States and European partners. After months of confidential talks with the Russian side, it was now possible to release 15 people who were illegally held as political prisoners in Russia. The state's interest in seeing him punished had to be weighed against the danger to the bodies and, in some cases, the lives of innocent people in prison in Russia and political prisoners.
The White House hoisted the national hostage and wrongful detainee flag over the building after the announcement of biggest East-West prisoner exchange. Earlier this year, US President Joe Biden signed bipartisan legislation that established the official hostage and wrongful detainee flag and established March 9 as the annual hostage and wrongful detainee day. At the time, US senators said the flag would serve to remind people of the plight of Americans unjustly held abroad. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin also met the Russian nationals freed in prisoners, in fact, swap at the Vnukovo airport and congratulated them on their return to their homeland.
First of all, I want to congratulate you all on your return to your homeland. Now, I want to address those of you who are directly involved in military service. I want to thank you for your loyalty to the oath, to your duty and your homeland, which has never forgotten you for a minute. And now you are home. All of you will be nominated for state awards. We will see each other again, talk about our future. Now, I just want to congratulate you on your return home. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
US President Joe Biden said on Thursday the killing of Hamas terror group leader Ismail Haniyeh was not helpful for reaching a ceasefire in Israel's war in Gaza. When asked if Haniyeh's assassination ruined the chances for a ceasefire agreement, Biden told reporters it doesn't help. The US president also said he had a direct conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier on Thursday.
I'm very concerned about it. I had a very direct meeting with Prime Minister today, and very direct. We have the basis for a ceasefire. He should move on, and they should move on it now.
International diplomacy is continuing as world leaders call for calm. Amid fear, the Middle East may be on the brink of a wider regional war. The United States has sent 12 warships to the Mediterranean. DD India's Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
Certainly a lot of fear here in Israel in the wake of these threats by Iran, by Hezbollah and also by Hamas after the assassination of two very senior members of both Hamas and also Hezbollah. Now, the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he has been threatening a very strong response on Israel, and that certainly has people here very, very worried. What we are seeing on the ground is panic buying in supermarkets, beaches that are largely packed on a Thursday afternoon, which is the beginning of the weekend here, largely deserted. So there is, of course, a lot of fear, a lot of worry about what could come over the coming hours. And we do know that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's held very high-level meetings with not just the head of the Home Front Command, but also the National Emergency Authority. Now, Netanyahu posted on X that Israel is at a high state of readiness for any scenario, both defensively and offensively, saying we will exact a very high price for any aggression from any arena. Reporting from Tel Aviv, Sarah Coates, DD India.
Well, India has issued an advisory for its nationals in Lebanon over potential threats. In two advisories issued within almost 12 hours, Indian Embassy in Lebanon asked its nationals to leave Lebanon and avoid all non-essential travel. The advisory said, in view of recent developments and potential threats in the region, Indian nationals are strongly advised against traveling to Lebanon till further notice. All Indian nationals are strongly advised to leave Lebanon. Those who remain for any reason are advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict their movements and remain in contact with the Embassy of India in Beirut through their email ID, which is cons.beirut@mea.gov.in, or the emergency phone number, which is +961 768 60128. While Australia too urged its nationals to leave, Minister of Foreign Affairs Penny Wong warned all Australians in Beirut to leave immediately.
The message to Australian citizens and residents in Lebanon is now is the time to leave. If you are in Australia and thinking of travelling to Lebanon, do not. There is a real risk that the conflict in the region escalates seriously. The security situation could deteriorate quickly with little or no notice. Some commercial flights are still operating. If you can leave, you should. Beirut Airport could close completely if the situation worsens. And if that happens, the government may not be able to help Australians still in Lebanon to evacuate. You may not be able to leave Lebanon for an extended period. I know Australians, in particular the Lebanese Australian community, are worried. We share your concerns. We are working with partners in the region to push for restraint and de-escalation. But now is not the time for Australians in the region to wait and see what happens. Now is the time to leave.
Well, Canada also urged its citizens to come back home if they were in Lebanon and not think about visiting Beirut. Minister of Foreign Affairs in a statement said to Canadian citizens and permanent residents, if you are in Canada and thinking about visiting Lebanon, don't. If you are in Lebanon, come back home. If tensions escalate, the situation on the ground may not allow us to help you and you won't be able to leave. Plan accordingly. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Thursday spoke with the Saudi Foreign Minister about Gaza and Sudan. The State Department said that Blinken and Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud talked about the importance of a Gaza ceasefire deal. They also discussed the need for Sudanese armed force and rapid support forces to participate in a ceasefire talks this month. Well, updates from Venezuela now. Diplomatic efforts are underway to persuade President Nicolas Maduro to release vote tallies from Venezuela's presidential election after opposition leaders disputed his claim of victory. The presidents of Brazil, Mexico and Colombia called for Venezuela to release detailed voting tallies on Thursday. The countries later issued a joint statement calling on Venezuela's electoral authorities to move forward expeditiously and publicly release. The statement further reads, The fundamental principle of popular sovereignty must be respected through impartial verification of the results. Brazil has taken over administration of the Peruvian Embassy in Venezuela after its diplomats were expelled over their criticism of disputed election results, showing President Nicolas Maduro won last weekend's election. Brazil will mediate on issues regarding Peruvian citizens in Venezuela, and country also took over Argentine embassy. Venezuela expelled diplomats from Argentina and 5 other countries, including Chile, Costa Rica, Panama, the Dominican Republic and Uruguay over election-related criticism. Caracas also served relations with Peru after Lima recognized opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez as Venezuela's elected president. The U.S. government on Thursday announced that it is recognizing opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez as the winner of Venezuelan's presidential election. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that Edmundo Gonzalez won the most votes in Venezuela's July 28 presidential election. Venezuela's electoral authority has declared President Nicolas Maduro the winner of the election, a result that has been derided as implausible by the opposition, independent pollsters and many foreign governments. All right, and still to come on this edition of DD India Live. We will give you an update on Wayanad landslide rescue efforts as rescuers raced against time under harsh conditions to search for survivors trapped in debris. UNGA President heaps praise on India for lifting 800 million out of poverty simply by smartphone. And we'll bring you on what's ahead for India on day 6 of Paris Olympics. You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj, and in India's southern state Kerala, rescuers raced against time under harsh conditions to search for survivors trapped in debris after massive landslides struck Wayanad district on Tuesday. The death toll exceeded around 250, with several other people still missing. The toll is expected to rise further. Search operations intensified in the landslide affected areas as more heavy machineries have moved on to the other side as Bailey Bridge is fully functional. Columns with dog squads commenced search operations. State Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan on Thursday said the rescue mission in the landslide hit Mundakai region of Wayanad could take a few more days and appointed a cabinet subcommittee of 4 ministers to coordinate the rescue efforts. Meanwhile, the India Meteorological Department has predicted moderate rain for Wayanad and several other districts over the next couple of days. A yellow alert for heavy rain has been issued for 5 other districts. And heavy overnight rains triggered flooding and a house collapse as several rivers swelled in Indian state of Uttarakhand. Prime Minister Narendra Modi took stock of the situation in the wake of intense showers. PM has also assured Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami of all necessary assistance. The Kedarnath Yatra was suspended amid the inclement weather conditions as heavy downpour triggered landslides at many places. The trek route remains blocked by boulders. 2 Indian Air Force helicopters, a Chinook and an Mi-17, are being used to evacuate pilgrims struck between Gaurikund and Kedarnath. The India Meteorological Department issued red alert for extremely heavy rains in parts of Uttarakhand. Well, around 50 people went missing following multiple incidents of cloudburst in North India's Himachal Pradesh, with the heavy rain-induced flooding also resulting in a breach at Malana Hydel project. The National Disaster Response Force and Home Guard teams are making efforts to rescue people. Manali-Chandigarh National Highway has been breached at numerous places due to landslides and gushing waters of River Biles. Stressing the use of digitization for rapid development, the President of the 78th session of the UN General Assembly, Denis Francis, lavished praise on India for its work in this direction. Addressing the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome this week, the President mentioned the contribution of mobile phones and digital banking services in India in lifting 800 million out of poverty. He highlighted how people in rural areas of India are able to make payments and pay bills just on the touch of a smartphone.
India, who never had a relationship with the banking system, are now able to transact all their businesses on their smartphone. They pay their bills, they receive payment for orders. 800 million people lifted out of poverty. Because there's a high level of internet penetration in India. Almost everyone has a cell phone. That is not the case in many parts of the global south.
And now to all the updates from Paris Olympics 2024. And the most decorated gymnast, Simone Biles, won all-around gymnastics title in Paris and 6th overall medal at Olympics so far to cement her place back at the top of her sport. In a tight race between Biles and Brazil's Rebecca, the American was surprisingly left trailing in 3rd place. However, she was back on top after a solid performance on her next apparatus, which was balance beam. Biles captured her 2nd gold medal of the Paris Games and her 2nd all-around Olympic title after also winning the individual event in Rio in 2016. She also claimed the team gold earlier this week. Looking forward to day 7 of Paris Olympics, Team India is all set to feature in shooting with Manu Bhaker in women's 25-meter pistol qualification, hockey, rowing and 2nd round in golf, among others. DD India correspondent Narayan Singh will give us more for day 7.
Manu Bhaker, who has already won 2 medals at the Paris Olympics, will be back in action on Thursday, aiming to make history in the women's 25-meter pistol qualification. Bhaker, along with compatriot Asha, will strive to reach the final, putting Bhaker on the brink of an unprecedented 3rd medal at the single Olympics, a feat no Indian athlete has ever achieved. In a highly anticipated match, the Indian men's hockey team will face against the favourites Australia in Pool B match. Despite having already qualified for the quarterfinals, a strong performance against Australia would significantly boost India's confidence ahead of the, we can say, quarterfinals. Balraj Panwar will compete in men's sculls event in rowing, although this event does not count towards medal contention. Meanwhile, in athletics, Tejinder Singh will participate in the shot put qualification event, and Parul Chaudhary will race in women's 5,000 meter heats. If we talk about golf, that individual final that they will be in round 2, Shubhankar Sharma and Gaganjeet Bhullar will be there. And in sailing, women's dinghy race, Netra Kumanan will be there in the first. It will be at 3:45 p.m. and after that around 4:50 p.m. If we talk about men's dinghy, Vishnu Sarvanan will be there. He will feature in the race 4. It will be in the evening.
Indian athletes have already won 3 shooting medals at the ongoing Paris Olympics, with hopes for more success ahead. Their achievements are bolstered by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's personal encouragement and government initiatives like the Target Olympic Podium Scheme and Khelo India. Take a look at the exclusive report by DD India correspondent Narayan Singh from Paris.
As the Olympic Games continues in Paris, Indian athletes have already made their mark by securing medals in shooting. The country's sports contingent remains hopeful for more victories, driven by immense hard work and immense support from the Indian government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's personal involvement in motivating and congratulating athletes has become a hallmark of Indian sports culture. Before major sporting events, PM Modi makes it a point to interact with the athletes, offering words of encouragement and instilling a sense of pride and determination. When athletes secure medals for the nation, a congratulatory call from the Prime Minister follows, a gesture that is both motivating and deeply appreciated by the athletes. Manu Bhaker, who clinched 2 medals in shooting, acknowledged the unique gesture of receiving a personal call from the country's Prime Minister.
I was almost like taking the call. So before that, few people were around me, and they were like, "Oh, why are you sitting here?" So they got to know that the Prime Minister of the country is going to talk to me. So they were so surprised, and then I got to know like this doesn't really happen often in the other parts of the world. So I feel it's a great honor for me and for my country and for all the athletes from our country that the Prime Minister of the country, out of all the thousands of things that he has to do in a single day.
I think Indian table tennis has been doing really good thanks to the government and Federation, Sports Authority of India, TOPS. They're all helping us in many ways. We're getting good exposure.
The government's role in promoting sports talent extends beyond personal gestures. Initiatives like the Target Olympic Podium Schemes and Khelo India have been instrumental in nurturing and supporting athletes from grassroots to elite levels. By promoting sports in schools and colleges and providing opportunities for young talent to shine, Khelo India has created a robust pipeline of athletes.
जो स्कीम्स हैं अभी जो हमारे पीएम साहब ने अपना स्टार्ट किए हैं, खेलो इंडिया टॉप्स, उसके बाद जो डॉक्टर करन सिंह शूटिंग रेंज है उसके अंदर भी हॉस्टल प्रोवाइड हो गया हमें, वहाँ पे भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा फैसिलिटीज़ हैं, पैलेट्स जो 10 मीटर में यूज़ होती हैं वो फ्री होगी और सारा कुछ वहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग का सारा कुछ फ्री हो गया.
I think Khelo India, there is a scheme which has started by the government, is helping all over the nations, and the most important thing is they are helping the grassroots level players who are not able to spend so much money and all. So I think every academies which are doing good in and which are having facilities, so government is giving them so much expenses and all. So I think nowadays government and federation are really doing very well.
The collaborative effort between the government, sports federations and athletes is yielding tangible results. India's improved performance on the global stage is a reflection of this synergy. The emphasis is on sports as a vital component of national pride and is transforming India into a formidable force in the international sports arena.
As the Paris Olympic Games progresses, the entire country is supporting our athletes and cheering them. And with the help of a strong and robust backup system, our athletes are doing exceptionally well. And they are also appreciating the schemes like Khelo India and TOPS are acting like a catalyst in their performance. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Paris.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.